Hello, hello Twitch, hello Twitch, hello YouTube. Back for another Borderlands stream. It has been too long. Thankfully, we are not quite stuck in T-Bone Junction anymore for a couple of reasons. So, we're going to be able to move on a bit today, thankfully. But before I get into that, I would like to talk about why I was gone for about 3 weeks or so. I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's not that serious. I don't mean to set up some kind of like somber tone. It's not that serious. Basically, all that's been happening is I've been moving around in work, and I've been trying to do some cleanup work and some busy work on my end with my laptop and my channel and all that. So when I say I got moved from work, basically my boss just moved me to a new site all of a sudden. Um, Not too much was talked about, like why I got moved, if it was like a good or bad reason. Uh, all I really know is that I got moved with somebody else. Like we swapped positions in work, so she took my job, I took her job, basically. And so I've been going through that. That's been a bit sudden, just to be moved to a new work site all of a sudden in the middle of a week. You know, I didn't even have the weekend to rest, so very sudden, very much so. Like something to get used to. So I just decided to take a week off then when that happened. And then by the end of that week, I was going to jump back on stream. But then I realized before I start stream back up, I should probably take care of some stuff, like I was saying, with my laptop into my room. So I replaced the fan in my laptop that was making all that noise. I'm not too sure if it was like super audible, but I know it was making some noise, so I got rid of that. That has been solved. I rearranged some stuff on my audio setup so it's a bit more accessible, so I can like change things around. That was done, and I did some reorganizing a little bit. So that was all kind of time consuming and throwing me off schedule. So I was like, you know what? Let me just get another week. It'd be nice to just rest and kind of get my bearings, anyways. And then I was gonna hop back on again. And then at that point, I started picking something up myself. I started posting on TikTok. I started posting music on TikTok, and uh, so that's kind of been like a new commitment that I took on. So again, I was like, you know what? I know I probably shouldn't at this point, but it's not the end of the world if I go ahead and just fit this into my schedule. Let me take another week off, figure out how to stay consistent with posting on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok at the same time, basically. Um, and I think I've got things mostly sorted out here. It's just going to take some time to get used to everything. So I'm back. I shouldn't be on any breaks again. I really don't intend to. I know I've gone on like multiple breaks now at this point, but at this point I don't really mean to go on so many breaks. Stuff just keeps kind of popping up out of nowhere at very inconvenient times. But I'm back, and I do plan to stay, so let's get into this. Let's start back up with this game. Um, I don't really think we're too far off from 100%. Um, Obviously, we do have some kind of big things to take care of. We have this guy here, Cromarax, essentially the final boss of the game, if you want to call it that. He's going to be the first example that we see of a raid boss, and you'll understand what I mean by raid boss when you see him if you don't know already. But basically, it's just a big baddie. Basically, just a really big baddie. He's going to be tougher than any other boss we've seen so far by a lot, and it's going to take a long time for us to try to kill him. So let's get some attempts in now, and we'll get a good feel for him, and then at some point we'll have to return to actually kill him. There he is. There he is. So yeah, no intro, no dramatic cutscene or anything like that, but you will immediately notice, obviously, he's huge. He's about as big as the Destroyer, if not bigger. He's got all these minions around him. They're all max level, obviously, and Cromorax himself is over leveled. So he's got that that buff to his health because, you know, he's over leveled. So we're gonna have to find out a way to deal with, you know, all of this somehow. So while I go ahead and try to chip away at this guy as much as I can, I did mention there were a couple things in game that kind of happened while I was on break. So I decided to go ahead and finish out any other side quests that I had to get done. Apologies, I didn't mean to talk while chewing. I went ahead and got those done, so I got the rest of the Circle of Duty done. And I think there was one more that we also had to get done. I got those both done. Those are on record, or on video, I should say. I recorded them, so, you know, you'll see them in one of these videos. It'll be, like, attached to it. A couple of the videos will probably be a couple hours long, and that's why. So, just a bunch of side quests, nothing too special. But if you're wondering why the last video has a bunch of side quests and this one doesn't, that's why. Anyways. That's really about it, though. I didn't try to kill Cromorax. I tried him like maybe once or twice, just for the video. But I didn't do any real grinding on him, so I have really no idea how to kill this guy. All I have to go off of is my previous experience with Borderlands games. But I have a feeling that's not going to help out too much because, you know, it's a completely different game. I've never played this game personally, and yeah. I'm just not that familiar with it. So yeah, we will be moving on to the next DLC within the next, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. Yep. Not a whole lot else has been going on. I think maybe we picked up a couple new guns. Nox's Gold, the Bone Shredder, Cobra. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we picked up a few new guns. But that's really about it. What's up with this guy so far? He kind of just seems like just a really prolonged fight. So, kind of requires the very best gear, I would assume. I know we have good guns and all that. We've been able to get by the rest of the game just fine. I'm assuming, though, that they would require you to kind of buff up for this one. So optimizing your skill tree, finding guns that fit into that tree, you know, switching out when you need to, that type of stuff. I'll give it a few more attempts, see if I can find out anything important that I would need to know about the fight, but yeah, we'll just go ahead and move on after this one. Now, I'm not too sure what we're going to do in the next DLC. At this point, I'm kind of afraid to make any assumptions, because I thought this DLC was going to be one of the shorter ones, but it turned out to be the longest one so far. Got the most lore. It's got ties in with other games, with Athena and the Pearlescence. I think just in general, it's got the most content, so kind of threw me for a loop with this DLC, but not too sure what we're gonna be walking into next. I want to say I read online through the wiki that it has something maybe to do with Claptrap, where he's involved somehow. Not too sure what that means entirely, if it's like centered around him, or if he's just in the DLC a little bit more than he normally is in the game, you know what I mean? Not too sure if it's more of a story one, a story DLC, or more like just a fun gameplay DLC like the Underdog is. We'll get there. Once we finish that bad boy up, we can go ahead and call it endgame, basically. We'll be looking at the achievements one by one. We'll be getting those challenges done one by one. And all we would have to do at that point is kill this guy here, Cromorax, and do the Underdome challenge. I know there's some kind of greater challenge to be done. We're gonna have to get that done. Not too sure how long all that will take, but yeah, it seems like that's about it. Then we can just move straight on to the pre-sequel, which I am very excited about. I don't personally plan to really return to this game on stream. I don't know, maybe if I get a bit more people watching and they express that they want to see more Borderlands 1 content, then we can do that, but I don't plan to return. We're just going to be moving through the games, so I would assume that's about, that's about what you need. Just some Borderlands content in general, not necessarily Borderlands 1, you know? Well, let me know, for sure, let me know. think I'll give this maybe like 5 more attempts at most. I haven't noticed anything that would give us any obvious headway. So I'm assuming that must be like a gun type of situation. Get better guns, get better gear, etc., etc. Because we can't even kill these worms effectively. I killed one of them one time, and that was that's kind of it. So that's going to be a farming in the tollway type of situation, trying to get pearlescence. Maybe looking through the wiki to find specific guns. I'm not too sure about the legendary farming routes in this game, but you may have to learn eventually. There's also definitely a possibility the new DLC will have some kind of farming route. So, definitely, you know, a couple of options to be had here before we take this guy down. Doesn't seem like we're going to be making much progress any other way with some, I don't know, with some obvious exploit or spamming the action skill or something like that. It's not going to be that easy. Man, it does feel good to get back into streaming. It always feels a little weird whenever I take a little break. It does feel good to get back into the habit. Oh, this gun's doing not bad against this one. I wonder if that's just because of the poison damage. It seemed like for a moment earlier, I feel like I saw Bromarax's health go down pretty quickly with my shotgun, which is kind of interesting because it seemed like it didn't really do anything against the worms here. But for some reason, I was able to take a chunk of his health out with the shotgun. Which I don't know how that happened. I don't know if I got a lucky shot or something, but maybe let's try that again. Oh, you know what? Let me do something really quick. Because I believe I read about the lore for this guy in the video that I recorded when I was first, driving up to Cromrax. I'm pretty sure I read this so we can get some context. Obviously, I did not read that this time. So let me go ahead and do that. Because I can't quite remember if I did when I first picked up the quest. So let me just do that again. There's an ancient tale of these parts of a massive beast that used to roam the sea. Now that's already interesting because from what we've seen, there's no ocean here. Even in the beaches and the trash beaches, it's literally just all like either the most disgusting water you've ever seen or there's literally no water. So the fact that they talk about a sea is already kind of interesting. This is way back when there was water. Yeah, exactly. Sailing. Let me just read. The tales have been passed down from generation to generation. His name was Cromarax. They said he was invincible. Why am I telling you all of this? Since you blew up that Lance depot, there have been tremors in the deep fathoms. Some say that Cromarax is out there, that you have reawakened him from hibernation. That would be one hell of a story if it were true, and whoever killed him would become a legend. So yeah, there you go. Admittedly, we still don't really know too much about him, but basically just a big old animal, in a sense. Been sleeping here for who knows how long. Now we know that there was some kind of ocean, or at least a large body of water, some time ago. Something happened to it, I don't know. Maybe it dried up, maybe somebody used all the water. Something like that. So somehow, this beast seemingly has awakened following the explosion that we set off after we killed General Knox. It would have been interesting, maybe, if this was kind of a repeat of the situation that happened at the vault in the vanilla game. So, we're racing to get to Commandant Steel, and then, we reach her, we find out that the vault is the destroyer, and that all goes down. I think it would have been interesting, maybe, if in this DLC we were racing towards General Knox in the armory, and then we kill Knox, and then all of a sudden we find out that he's hiding this guy behind, the armory. He's kind of keeping him as a weapon. I think that could have been interesting, but I do get it. They want to set up more of a larger world that is not necessarily all about military operations and, keeping secrets and all that stuff. They could be setting up more of a... You're in this world, and there is military occupation and problems with military, but also there's just big animals just roaming around, and you can kill them for loot, so go ahead and do that. I do respect that for sure. I respect it, I respect it. I'm gonna go ahead and call this my last attempt, and then we'll just move on to the new DLC. Pretty sure we don't really need to get any new weapons. It's just this guy is, you know, that tough. So we'll find them eventually, but for now, I think we're good to just move on. Yeah, okay. Definitely not going to be my day today. We'll come back, though. RX better not forget my face, because I'm coming back. It's going to be mine. I will have him. Thankfully, I have a light breakfast here, so I'm about finishing up. Just had some grapes, some frozen grapes, a couple of those cutie oranges, the really small ones, some coffee, and some crackers, so. Let's go ahead and just move on. We gotta go back to the fast travel. Actually, we could totally just save and quit, huh? Oh, I've got some orange dust on my controller. Oh, oh. Get myself a wipe or something. Try though. Alright, let's go. Not too sure where we're going, who we're gonna meet. Find out.